Right. We're right into part 3 now. We're right here. We're back. If you've missed part 1 and 2, it'll make sense. Please go and watch it. But this is where Thea Lissi's story really starts to come full circle. We're going right back to the beginning, her childhood. Growing up in a large family, one of 11, living in a trailer, and that pivotal moment when her father was arrested. But more importantly, we're talking about how she's breaking those generational traumas, those generational cycles through her own parenting. Thea shares how becoming a mother became the catalyst for her deepest transformation and why communication is everything when it comes to healing family trauma. This part hits different. So let's get into it. Here's Thea and myself for part 3. Go and follow and subscribe, please. Yes. See you soon.
To this day, I think I've only seen her cry like once in my entire life, and it I don't even know if it was crying or if it was just like semi-emotional, but she's a master of just no emotions. And so that I imagine is probably because of him, and she had told me, I guess like a month ago when we had talked about it, because I had brought it up to her, um, asking her why she doesn't show emotion and anything like that. And she told me that he would say, like, if she would ever cry about anything, that he would say that she was trying to manipulate us and make people feel bad for her and blah blah blah. So then she, you know, stopped allowing her emotions to show because he
Yeah.
would say that. But yet he would literally use crying and like cry whenever he did something wrong and whatever to actually manipulate us. So it's just wild how they can turn those tables on you, you know?
Absolutely. And with maturity and life experience now, you can have that understanding a little bit more. And it is easy for us to turn around and say, well, this is what I would have done. But unless we're actually in that one situation on your mum's head, it's really, really hard to say, isn't it? Is your what's your relationship like with your mum now? Because you've just mentioned you spoke to her
Yeah.
about it a month ago.
Yeah.
Are you guys close now? Is there any blockages? Is there a
Yeah.
bridge up that you both need to cross and meet at?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, we're definitely closer than we used to be. I don't think it's like I'm slowly realizing what like other people's relationships are like, like with their parents and mothers and so it's definitely not on that scale, but we're closer than we used to be, and I think like she's making it an effort.
Mm.
Um, and I pray that she continues to like find healing and that she truly, I just think there's so much that she's still not allowing herself to accept the reality of the like has happened. And I just think of like the trauma that I went through as a kid. I can only imagine what it she experienced that we may not even know about. And so I think that like there's just a lot of healing that needs to happen there and probably a lot of guilt and regret um and so I think that's probably the only way for us to ever fully connect is for that realness and that honesty to come through and I pray that it does happen and I feel like for a while I had a lot of bitterness towards her that I didn't even like realize, you know and so I'm working on you know that, and I think like forgiveness and letting go of things and bitterness and all of that is like a journey in itself. And but I will say, I mean, she called me last Saturday or the Saturday before and told me like she was proud of me, and which she's
Oh,
never told me before. And that like just a lot of really nice things. And I was like, why are you telling me this? Like I didn't know how to take it at first. But I think she's getting to a place, like I think that's hard for her, and it's something that I can't hold against her because she also was inhibited from doing that, or to like I think my dad didn't allow her to have real connections with us, and so she probably just doesn't even know where to begin now, you know?
yeah. It's been blocked,
So
hasn't it?
yeah, so I'm like trying to have grace and be as understanding as I can, without just saying, oh, it's totally fine, and like, you know,
Yeah. That won't be fair
letting
on you
it.
either, would it?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like there's that fine line of, forgiveness and then also like accepting reality and finding healing through it. So
with accepting that reality and again that maturity and life experience that you have, you're a parent yourself. When you look back now into the childhood, do you think your mum? She obviously went through some shit, of course she did. But do you think the with what she went through, she was she depressed? Looking back, do you see any
Oh,
depressive traits of her?
oh yeah, oh yeah. Like when I was in high school, like while he was in prison, I mean, she would sleep all day, every day. And so, but like it makes sense, I guess, when you think about it. She had like all these kids, and almost, I guess there was probably eight, at least eight of us still home at that point. And being a single mom, and my dad wouldn't let her work. And then also, like, she was never allowed to work since they were together. So, like, even if she could work, it's like, where would you go work? And so, and then he wouldn't allow her to. So then my oldest brother, who was in high school, was like providing for us. So it's like, you know, I just, I guess it all just makes sense, and I think she really did love him, as sick as that, is when he was. It's like, I think it's one of those things that you don't understand unless you're in it. And so it's like, I think he had brainwashed her so much that like she probably just felt frozen in fear and loss and just all the things. Um, but I feel like now she's definitely out of that, and she's like trying to be present for the grandkids and and all those things. And so, but I definitely think she went through some depression, and whether she would call it that or not, I don't know. But it,
Yeah. So okay, with your mum, we've touched on your mum. What about you and your family? You're one of 11.
it,
This obviously has, I'm guessing, it's brought in maybe deeper connection with some of them, but maybe also on the opposite end, a bigger hole because of it. Before you answer that question, has all 11 of you been affected by your father and your mother, but your father?
yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, I think it's kind of wild though, because I think our family is the perfect depiction of how like things affect you differently based on the age that you are when they happened.
Mm,
And so it's like, because there's so many of us, there's a clear, like the older ones who were older when, each phase of these things happened, they stayed brainwashed, I guess, like longer, and were very good, didn't like stray outside of the box, which is like good in some senses. Um, and but we're also, and have been the most like for the most part, I would say the oldest, I think they were out of the house before a lot of it, so they've been more realistic. But the older ones that were like at home still, it has taken them, I feel like, a bit longer to accept and come to terms with like the reality of everything.
yeah,
But they also didn't make as many like big mistakes, I guess you could say, as like the middle ones, which would be like me and my other sister. It's like a lot of us got pregnant outside of marriage, and we partied, and we, like kind of rebelled, and all those things, because we were like, me and my sister, the one Tammy that's like right beneath me, we were teenagers whenever he went to prison, and then just getting or about to be out of high school whenever he like took his life. And so those are two big, like life-changing moments in your life in general, informative times of your life. And so I feel like just the ways that we acted out was much different. And then the youngest ones, it's like they don't even remember a lot of it. And then, but they also grew up without parenting really at all. And so it's just been
did you come a
interesting.
mother? Did you come a
Mhm.
mother in that sense as well, supporting the younger ones? How many younger
Yeah,
do you have?
five younger.
Yeah, wow. So
Yeah,
how old are you when he goes to jail? 14, did you say?
13.
13,
Yeah,
14?
13. Yeah, yeah,
So did you become, your mum's depressed, your dad's in
yeah,
jail, she's not getting out of bed all
yeah,
day. You're 13 years old, you've got five younger than you.
yeah. Yeah, we
What's
all
your
kind
role?
of like, yeah, it's like we always, I guess, were like we took care of each other. That was just like even when he was, because he would work away a lot. You
Mm.
know, so sometimes I joke that I feel like he had all those kids just to make us like little slaves because we legit that's all we did. Like I've built fences, I've built metal buildings, poured cement, like dug
What?
trenches, you name it. I
Wow.
used to like pretend to be sick just so I could do inside work. You know, to be like, I just don't feel well. I need to go because I didn't want to have to like do the like man yard work, you know,
Wow.
at a young
So you all
age.
had
But
roles and jobs.
oh yeah, yeah, oh
Oh,
constant, you
geez.
know, yeah. So. It was, yeah, we were always put to work in some way, you know, so it was that was just like our normal life, you know, I guess.
So in the trail, when you and the family went to the trailer park, I know some were probably older and already left, but how many how many were living in the camper, the trailers
Like at
with you?
least nine of us were still there. So like when we lived in
Yeah.
the camper, it was we had there was like a room you call it like of bunk beds, you know, and then there
Mm.
was like a storage container area like underneath each of those, and he just like took off the door of the storage container and they put like a little mat like cushiony thing at the bottom, and that was like where I slept. And then like one of us would sleep on like each, so that would sleep six. And then the table turned into bed and the couch turned into bed. And so the others would sleep there. And then my parents slept in like the main room of the camper. And we lived in that for I think it was 2 years. And he had told us that our trailer was being remodeled, and that's like why we thought we were living in the camper, and I found out later that it was being repossessed by the government because he hadn't like paid taxes or something. And then I guess whenever he went to jail, I don't know how that worked out, but we somehow ended up back in the trailer, which had 4 rooms, but you know, it was still a trailer, small. And so we always, you know, I typically shared a room with like at least two of my other sisters, if not three, you know, at all times. So
So how did you guys eventually get out of the trailer park and where did you go?
So it wasn't until I graduated. So like I had finished high school early because I tested out of my like a lot of my senior classes. So like midway
Okay.
through the year I moved to Lafayette and started working, and that was yeah the first time I was out of that. My mom actually stayed in that trailer for probably 5 years maybe after that even. I mean a long time.
Wow.
And then her sister, my aunt, bought her like a house in New Iberia that she lives in now. But yeah.
Bought her a house.
Yes, they've helped a lot. They're just really good
Wow.
people, and yeah, they've done a lot. They've help her put the youngest ones through like private school.
Amazing.
After like you know this was after my dad was gone and all of that, but um, and yeah, they paid for me to like get my wisdom teeth out because they were like I was in so much pain and about to OD on uh ibuprofen if that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And when I was in college, and so they like helped pay for that. You know, they just very generous, good people, and they would never brag about it. Um or like, you know, let anyone know. They've helped a lot, and I feel like I've really helped my mom to get out of that funk because she was staying there, and that's like you know energetically and just everything about it, it was just a sketchy area, and
Yeah.
not like a good place. We would have people like homeless people like walk in the door just like because the doors didn't lock, you know. It
Yeah,
was
wow.
yeah, so
So going back, sorry to keep jumping back. There's questions in my head, probably a million, and I know we won't go into all of them.
yeah,
But when your dad got caught, there was obviously a range of ages around the 11 of you guys, with your mum included. When your dad got caught, you obviously don't need to go into the depth of what was happening. But how did he get caught? How did he get found out? And then how did the others react
yeah,
to that? So if anyone wasn't fully aware or it was normalized, like you
yeah.
mentioned a couple of times, it was normalized how you lived and you didn't know until you were older, or maybe you found out more when he got caught that it was wrong. Yeah, how did he get caught?
Yeah, so we had actually we had gone to Astroworld, or one of, I forget what it's called, but it was the one that was like in Houston or something, one of those theme parks on
Hmm.
Father's Day. And whenever we had gotten back, my mom had taken some of us to go drop off a stray cat, which is, it sounds so weird, but this was like a normal thing, occurrence. Like we would get these random animals and then like go drop them off on the side of the road. So he had sent her to do that. And I still don't know if I was with her or if I was back at the house, because he made me testify that I was back at the house. So that's a whole, I'll
Oh,
get
so
into
now
that in
you're
a minute.
questioning what's the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But apparently, whenever w she was gone, dropping off the cat, it was whenever he had brought my cousin into the room and locked the door, and my sister Tammy was out in the living room with the younger boys, and John, I think it was, had like cut himself or something, and so she needed a Band-Aid, and my cousin needed to use the phone, and this was back when there was like not like mobile phones, so it was just like a house phone. And so he had unplugged the one in the living room, so it wasn't working. And so she had to go use the one in his room. So that's why she was even in there. And he locked the door. So Tammy went to open the door and it was locked. And she was like, Dad, John cut himself. I need a Band-Aid. And like he just kept like shushing her away and telling her to go, like go find one. And then so she kept coming back. And apparently my cousin has said like she saved him from like her from him being able to go all the way, because she was so persistent in coming back to the door. And then uh, my mom, gets back, and none of us know that anything had happened at this point, but her mom, my cousin's mom, had come to pick her up. And she immediately told her. And my dad was leaving for work. He worked like offshore early the next day. So by the time the cops showed up the next morning to like arrest him, because they had called the cops and all of this, um, he was already like gone to offshore. And so I remember we all went to my grandma's house for like a few days, on my mom's side, as this was all going on, and we were just like, you know, I guess didn't know what to believe and distraught, just like thinking, wait, did this really happen? And then he found a way to contact my mom and convinced her that he didn't do it. And then that's whenever we left with her and went into hiding with him. And I think we were somewhere in Homa. I just remember there was a lot of like mosquitoes, and we were in like this house with like a screen porch, thing, and it was like very humid. That's all I remember. And we stayed there for a while. And then
Is
I
that
guess
when you
he
were on the
finally,
run from the cops?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so then he finally, turned himself in, I guess, and then yeah, so whenever we went to court, finally went to court for it, he made me and Tammy and a few others like testify in on his behalf, and just like say that, I honestly I don't even remember. I know it's on the web, so I probably should go back and read it, even just to maybe work through that, um but yeah, so like he had us all, testify and say whatever he wanted us to say to try and claim his innocence. And um, yeah,
With you testifying then, did that bring, um, did you lose any connection and relationships through you having to, I suppose, I don't know, lie, testify?
yeah. I mean, definitely with like with that, my mom's side of the family, but we all did in general, because we weren't allowed to talk to them for so many years.
Yeah,
So, it's and I think like eventually that side of the family and us had all gotten closer, and I think they understand. I mean, we were terrified, so it's like we
yeah,
would do anything he asked us to do, because you don't want to be beat to death. So it's like, you're
sure.
gonna do what you're told. But
Yeah,
yeah. So now it's normal per se, but uh, yeah,
yeah. So we're coming to maybe in my head, we're at your early adulthood now, 20 years old, just before
yeah,
because you have your daughter at 21, don't you?
yeah.
Before we just quickly go down that road, is there anything that you think you've missed and you feel like the viewers even just for you being therapeutic for you, is there anything else that we need to add or share on this part of your journey? Because this has been difficult for you. How are
Yeah.
you at this point, at 21 years old? How are you mentally after everything you've been through?
Yeah, I think I was effed up a little, a lot of it, not a little bit, but after high school, I was kind of wilding out, and doing my thing. And a lot of my older siblings were like had gone through this master's commission program, which is like a Bible college kind of thing at this church here. And I was living, wild, going out, drinking, all the things, and then I ended
So,
up
yeah.
getting, yeah, like recruited to do that. And so then like I kind of turned my life around for a little bit during that period. And then I went back, and then I want to say, so I was 19. I think it was he was still alive, I believe, at that
How
point.
old were you when he died?
I was 19.
Oh,
So it
you're
was like a
19, yeah.
year after I graduated, 18, and it was around a year. So it must have been right after, because I believe it's hard to, it's all
Yeah,
just like a warp in my brain, like those
sure.
times, but I'm pretty sure he was still alive at that point whenever I was in Bible college. Um, because I want to say I was 18. It was either right before or right after. Um, but so it was like, I went through that and was trying to like live right and whatever. And then after that, I went back to college, started slowly like, getting back into that lifestyle. And then, no, yeah, so it was definitely after, because the guy I dated was after this. So that helps.
Yeah,
I'm like, I was very involved with like this church for long after too. So it's all like the year that I did this is not separated in my brain from, because we went to this church since I was a kid. So it's kind of hard
yeah.
to remember which part was the Bible college. But yeah, so then I must have gone to that like right after college. And then that graduation was in May, I guess. I think it fell like a typical school year, and it was December that he, took his life.
It-
So
yeah.
it was, I kind of, and then I started, dating and doing that whole thing, and then I got pregnant the following August from whenever he took his life. In that December, the next August was whenever I got pregnant. And so, um, and then then I had her a year later. And that kind of woke me up, because I think I was going downhill quickly, like from going to masters and trying to get my life right, and then slowly going back into the world, and then him being out and about, and all of that. Because I think being in masters for that year while he was out, it was kind of like detached me from it all for a bit, so it made it a little easier than whenever I was back in normal society, and he was around, and it affected me more. And then he took his life, and then it was like dealing with all of that, and just not even knowing, you know how to cope with it all, I guess. um
Was your coping mechanism your partying days then?
yes, oh yeah, I think
Did
I
you go
just
into,
like drank and partied like every night of the week
yeah.
basically in college. Yeah.
So did you avoid, not avoid, that's insensitive, but do you consider that you went into the depression route? Was that a form of depression? Did you, I mean, some people would want to end their own life with what you're going through. Did you
No,
ever have those thoughts enter your head?
I think no. I mean, I don't believe like at that point in my life I did, but I did avoid it. I suppressed it. I stayed busy. I couldn't be alone at home, which is so weird, because now it's like I do the opposite. I'm always
Yeah.
home. But at that point in my life, I could never be home if like whoever I was living with would leave the house, then I would leave. Like I had to be around people constantly, distracting myself. And I would get scared alone. I didn't take like a sit down bath for like a long time. Like I had to take a shower, because the way he did it was like he cut all his main arteries and bled out like in a tub. So like for a long
Oh,
time that
really?
messed with me. Yeah. So it was, there were just like a lot of things that I just avoided. I distracted myself, and so I really feel like having Surrey was a blessing in disguise because it pushed me to make the changes that I needed, because it's so easy to just distract yourself and busy yourself. And I had 4 jobs and I was a full-time student and all these things. So it was easy to stay busy and to just not like feel
Yeah.
or thinking about the things that like, had happened. Um, but it wasn't doing me any like good
Yeah.
by doing that. So,
I was going to ask, do you think your daughter saved you?
oh yes, definitely. She still does.
Oh, beautiful. And I guess you guys have a really close relationship, not because
Yeah.
of what you've been through, because I think you probably still have a good relationship regardless.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely puts things in perspective of how you conduct yourself as a parent, right?
Oh yeah. I think like it's made me a better parent because I didn't have like a good example per se, but
Mm,
it's taught me like I know that my parents never talked about things with us or like it was just like you're not allowed to do this and there was no explanation for why. There was no like um grace if you did anything. If I would talk too much, it's like, oh, you're getting beat when you get home or whatever it is. It was just like outrageous consequences for compared to the actions and things like that. So it's also taught me to communicate with her to make her understand
mm,
why, like why you shouldn't do this. This is the consequence. This is why I don't want you to do that. And then give her free will too, to where she knows, okay, like, well, if you do this, this is going to be the consequence. And this is why I don't want you to do this. And now I feel like she's really such a good kid. And I feel so blessed because it's like, it could be a lot worse, and I don't know what I would do if she was um not a good kid,
no,
but I think
yeah.
having these honest conversations with her, it's really, I think, helped our relationship and made us closer, but has also helped her to learn to make wise decisions and to think for herself and to learn that she has her own boundaries and she can say yes, she can say no. She has free will. And
Mm.
so hopefully she'll end up being a better human because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And she definitely will. And she's got you there for that perspective. And even though she'll never probably feel what you feel, you've prevented her going through anything like that because
Yeah.
you have that knowledge and that wisdom. And does she, how does she feel about now she's a bit older? How does she feel about your journey? Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.